principal broker here at the Clackamas branch. So I'm going to be swiping from my iPad, so I'll probably sit to teach this. Some of you have been through this class. Who's been through this class? Good. Repetition is always great because your game in real estate, your level of knowledge in real estate always changes. So if you've been to a well class, the next time you go, you'll hear a completely different presentation. Same with this. So you'll pick up different things no matter where your career is in real estate. Plus I'm always adding as I learn because I teach this throughout the state. Because broker development is my passion. Thank you. Oh, it's off. So this will be better, right? We'll just have a great time. And can you film it okay back there, Tyler?
Yep, that's perfect actually.
Awesome. Everybody can see me. I'll have a little halo of light above me. So my credentials are long. I always like to say you can be involved in these kind of committees and within the industry. It's helped me grow my business by getting involved at all the different levels. So I encourage you to reach out to me if you're interested. So we're gonna have some fun now. There we go. So more powerful than the will to win is the courage to begin, right? It's hard to ask that commitment of anyone, of a family member, of a friend, let alone a potential client. So I'm going to challenge each of you to prepare yourself and do this in your next buyer's meeting. Unless you change your habits, buyer broker success can't be achieved. Is it easy for me? No. Am I still nervous? Yes. It's human nature to fear rejection. This slideshow is on the Dropbox link. So you don't have to, you can snapshot them for sure. You can use any part of it, but know that you can go right to it in the Dropbox link that is on the cover page. You have an exclusive buyer service agreement, and then you have the cover page that kind of lists the different categories as we go through this class. So anything you see here, or you want any of this, just let Heather and I know. It's there for you. So, Dr. John Wallace, he's the CEO of OAR. And I went to one of his classes, and I was flabbergasted, but loved it. So please leave your cell phones on during this class. That's our business. This is how you make a living. Answer your cell phone, and if it's a client, just get up and leave the room. Let us know if you sold something during the class. Cheer you on. And he said every time he states this policy of attending his class, and I was like this, what? Because always like turn your cell phones off and don't interrupt the class, and here it just like turned my world right side up, because I also want to honor brokers within the class. And every time I attended his class and he stated that, sure enough, somebody in the room sold something during the class. So let's see if it works. After attending this class, you'll have a complete understanding of how to negotiate that scary and looming exclusive buyer service agreement. Stop working for free. With this knowledge, you will obtain more written commitments from buyers, and that will equal more sales. In today's presentation, I'm going to show you, this is basically my presentation. Some of you have shadowed me and seen it, and I get the buyers to sign it easily. My approach is, I'm going to explain everything to them, and I'm just going to add this exclusive buyer service agreement at the end. I've already explained everything in it as a part of my job and what I do when they hire me. So it's a soft sell. I'm more of a soft sell. I'm not like, I'm not going to work with you unless you sign up with me. I show them my commitment first. If you can take even one thing away with you today, then this has been a successful presentation. So what's your expectation? What do you want to take away from this presentation today? And if you answer this question out loud, you get to stay.
This is like
I
my
know.
third one.
State your name and where you're from.
Deborah Hamlin, I'm a broker here at this office. I've been a realtor a really long time. I've not used this. So this is my third time setting in on this because I want it just to be able to roll off my tongue when I do it.
So she wants that confidence. So I'm here to help that.
Christy Stewart, I'm out of the Lake Oswego office. I've been an agent coming up on 2 years. And yeah, I wanted to take this class. I've been curious about this for quite a long time and I just want to see, and I would like to use it. So.
Excellent.
Lori from the Lake Oswego office. I've been an agent just over a year, and I want the same as her. I want the confidence, and I'm just tired of even just with the lead generations, you know, meeting people, taking time, and then boom, they're gone. You know, so I don't want to work for free anymore.
Good.
I'm Tyler Horst, and I'm out of the Bethany office. I also work in corporate and been licensed for a little over a year now. I'm also doing a Facebook Live video within the community forum on Facebook because I was asked by the Lake Oswego office. So if anybody wonders why I'm my phone up, that's
Well,
what
let's thank Tyler for his work.
Appreciate it. We'll see. If anybody doesn't chime in, then I'm just going to turn it off, but we'll see.
Okay, so we have no lookers yet.
Yeah, no lookers yet. We'll
A
see.
little eyeball and there's a little number next to it. I'm like, what is that?
I'm Cammie Chatfield, and I work here. I've been a realtor a little over 5 years, and I just want to take away from this a little more knowledge.
Excellent. I'm here to please.
My name is Manuela Ravanelli. I work out of the Lake Oswego office.
Yay, representing Lake Oswego today.
So I actually do have my client sign this because it happened one time that, you know, with a good friend that I didn't have him sign. Oh yeah. So I call him discussion problem or something like that. So after that, I make everybody sign, but I want to know how you do it to see if you do it more smooth than I do.
I'm here to share.
Thanks.
I'm Mackenzie from the Bethany office, and I just, same thing, want to feel more comfortable with what it is and using it and getting people to sign it without, how you said, without being aggressive about it, just having it be a smooth thing that you know. Just,
Yeah, we just saw each other at the female orientation.
I'm Katrina Peters, here at the Clackamas office. I've been licensed just almost 7 months. And I've had the pleasure of shadowing Cheryle while she's done this. And my goal is to have it go as smoothly as what she's done. Because afterwards it was like, well, that was kind of a no-brainer. They just did it. So.
Good, that's my goal.
And I'm Linda McDaniels.
Hi.
Hi, Katrina. Nice to meet you. And I am not a salesperson. I don't want to be pushy. And
I
so
hear you.
I want to be able to provide a benefit to them
That's right.
of why we're doing this. And so it's very important for me, because I hate pushy salespeople.
I hate them
It turns me off.
I don't want to be one.
And so I do want to build confidence to be able to do this in a way that just flows, but it's not pushy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lisa Bondel out of Clackamas and licensed development. And I want to be prepared for when I get into this situation.
Yes. Good.
Yeah.
Good Girl Scout approach.
Right. I'm Kathy Barber. I'm out of the Lake Oswego office, and I've been licensed for a little over a year. And I came to your last class, and I was so badly distracted. It was over a year ago now, before I even got my license. So.
Came to this class?
Yeah, I did.
Do you mind the distraction? Was it my
It was
approach?
my husband's birthday. I had brought in a cake. It was actually kind of memorable because I couldn't find a place for the cake. But anyway, yeah, so I wanted to come back again, and this is probably the hardest part for me. I want things to be natural. I'm in sales, same as other people. I don't like pushy salespeople. And I love being in real estate, and I want that to show. I don't want
Clap if you love it.
We
We hear you.
Yeah.
I feel you. I'll tell you stories, I've been there.
I am Bobby Jo Wakefield. I'm from Zenith. Danny says hi.
Oh, good, you have a story to tell
I have a
us.
couple. So
Good.
I've been doing it,
Tell-
probably about
give
7
Debbie a hug
months.
from me.
I will do that. About 7 months, and again, you know, I always feel that the presentation is in my commitment and my dedication and shaking hands and working hard, but I've actually through that twice been burned. So, yeah, through several months, I mean, like 6 months of
That
working
too.
with it. So, well, yeah. And so at the same time, like I want it to be natural. I want it to be part of the same kind of presentation that I have. I don't know, I feel that it's important to be committed and determined and to show that. But at the same time, I don't want to be burned.
You'll be amazed how much of this you already do. And so it's just taking that step onto the ship. The ship is strong, it sails in any weather, and it protects you and your family and the hours that you spend. And
Hi, my name is Lester Harmon. I am new to this office as of last week, so I'm a clean slate. But I've always believed in building a solid value proposition with whatever I am trying to present, and hopefully by that time it is their decision and they're going, where do I sign?
yeah, can you give me a notepad and pen, Heather, please? Because you guys, I learned from you too, and that is such a great statement. Value proposition. I love that.
Ken McCauley out of the Bethany office, been licensed for about a month and still new, so trying to learn everything I can, but value that I see in this is what everybody else is touching on.
Yes.
That you don't want to get in with somebody and do the work and then get burned.
That's right.
My background in documentation is very important, so if it wasn't documented, it didn't happen. So,
Good. Everybody hear that?
yeah, so.
Same within our real estate agreements that you learn, from Batty.
So, yeah, good
Do me a
document.
favor and write down value proposition.
That good documentation will
Excellent.
help you help your business, but it can hurt you and
Yes.
hurt your relationships if you don't.
Because
So,
we jump in wholeheartedly, don't we? We take time away from our families. We sacrifice. We spend our own money by putting gas in our car. Our time is valuable, so we spend that as well. And when you present your value proposition, nobody that's sitting across from you at that table would want a job where you show up, and if it's a job that lasts a week, a month, a year, or yes, I spent time 3 years with a client. And the boss, no, they did sign 3 for a year each. Nobody would want to show up for that job. I'm not sure if you're going to get paid, but just show up. So everybody gets it. Because you're going to talk, it's all about them, and you're talking about them and their life and what do you do. If you have to equate it to what they do, nobody. So I'm going to help you do that. Thank you, everybody, for being here. So each section of my presentation is strategic in explaining the exclusive buyer service agreement. So we'll get into a section, and it will be really enhancing what the exclusive buyer service agreement will just be like a review at the end of my meeting with the buyer. After my presentation to the buyers is complete, I bring up the exclusive buyer service agreement, and then it's just a review, and they sign it. Like Katrina said, she's seen it. People are comfortable. They may have a couple questions. And in one case, when it changed from the person that I was sitting across the table to now her parents were going to be the parties in the transaction, and it was going to be their money, you have to change the commitment. They were eager, let's go see the house, let's go see the house, let's go see the house. I really need to get your parents, I need to explain this to them, let me send this to them, let me get their signatures, because you have what they want. We could have ran out and kept going without a contract, and then we could end up, like some of you have experienced, without a client, with somebody else buying when you've done all the work, qualifying. Okay, let's start. Who has ever heard that buyers are liars? I'm here to blast that. Buyers are not liars. Buyers want what they want when they see it, and they want it now. We are in such a I want it now society. Who remembers the good old days when you log on and your computer goes, and you walk away and you go do something, you come back in a few minutes and you're waiting, right? Man, if we don't get it right now on our phone, we are just like, what is the problem? We want to eat, go through drive-thru. Want coffee? Go to Starbucks. You know, we're a want it now society. So are we shocked that our buyers want it now? No. We've created this. Not we, personally. Society. It's your choice. Work real estate or let it work you. So the realtor says, and this is one of the nicest neighborhoods, and her passengers say charming. So when are you planning to move to the area? The passengers say, we're not. We just like to travel around the country visiting different communities. And we find that real estate agents make the best tour guides. So finding out what your people's motivation is, they just want to go on a free property tour, we are not the best service. Again, it's your choice. You're going to work real estate or let it work you. Throughout today's presentation, I'm going to share some pearls of wisdom, things that I say in my presentation, and they're like planting seeds in the minds of my buyers, in my clients' minds. So take notes. When did the exclusive buyer service agreement come into effect? I'll give you a clue. I got into real estate in 1990, and it wasn't out then. Name some years.
2009.
No?
1998.
Ooh, close.
95.
Closer.
96. 96.
1994. Did I start using it?
Yeah.
No,
Not right away.
not in 1994. So I had to get through some more bumps and bruises and learn that it even existed. In 1997, yep, I was crying like a baby. To my principal broker, crying like a baby. Because I had spent months touring with my neighbors, friends, party buddies. And they came, you're gonna be so happy for us, we bought a house today. And I grabbed her and I said, that's great, and we both cried. My tears were, of course, for other reasons. So my manager, PB, said, when are you going to treat your business like a professional? Now, I called him after spending 3 days in bed in my pajamas. Didn't care. I was so depressed that anybody that I even loved so much could do that to me. This was like a bucket of cold water thrown over me. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's my decision. I'm in control here. A bucket of cold water, it shook me to my core. And he said, until you do, nobody else is going to. I was a professional. I came out of the corporate world. I treated my business so professionally and my clients even more so. So at that moment, on that day, wiping tears, I pulled my boots on and I said, never again. I learned about this contract and I said I was gonna perfect it. And when I perfected it, he said, will you teach our brokers this? Absolutely. And it is just gone and gone and gone since then. So how many years has that been? 97.
22 years.
How many years? What are we, 2017?
20.
So this is 20 years old. 20 years of my 27-year career, I have now honored myself. So the best way I can give back to you is to help teach you and bring you to that point. In 2000, so let me tell you some other stories. In 2006, a broker I managed hurriedly left the hospital after the birth of his daughter to meet his $1.2 million buyer clients. See you, honey, I'll be back. Ran to show them a house. They didn't buy that house. And then all of a sudden his clients went dark. Right? What's that mean? It's like the beginning of, it's like okay, they could be on vacation. A couple weeks went by. He kept trying to get a hold of them. I've got another property to show you. Out of guilt, they called them and said, I'm so sorry. We bought it for sale by owner. So what was important to them? Not all the sacrifice and commitment and time that he had spent with them. They wanted what they wanted and they wanted it now. Had they been under contract, they would have made that call and said, we found the house. Come write it up. And we'll talk about for sale by owners, because are they out there right now? So I will show you how to include those on the contract. While teaching this class in Redmond back in the 90s, there was one, she stood with her arms crossed in the back of the room, really resembled this look. And she said, you can't make me. Why would I have my client sign something that I wouldn't even be comfortable signing? That's the rub. If you don't know, of course you're going to be uncomfortable. So that's why I'm here today. You're going to feel so comfortable with this. After attending this class, she works only with buyers that have signed the exclusive buyer service agreement. And it is so freeing. Well, I called them this morning. I better call them this afternoon, just to make sure they're not out seeing property with somebody else. And it's the weekend. I better check in with them. No, there's a commitment, so there's a matter of respect, a back and forth respect.
That's so true, Cheryl. I mean, with one of them, we're working, we're like, we're gonna go to some open houses on Sunday, and you're like, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See? They're under
I'm still on
contract.
vacation.
That's exactly right. You give them a stack of your cards and say, this is your get out of, having somebody hound you during an open house because you're under contract with another broker.
I'll actually send them the open house that I want them to go and see.
Oh, that's even better. And even better, give them the app. Give them the Suma app. Knock yourself out. That's awesome. And guess who they call? Katrina. We loved it. Katrina's got to get over there and see it. Not the same day, but then, so the whole dialogue changes. There's such a high demand for this knowledge that in our industry that in February of 2015, I sold out. It went viral in the Masters of Real Estate. How many are members of Master in Real Estate? Joe Fustolo's site. A lot of people talk about stuff. Fools reveal themselves. Be careful of the advice you get in there. but there was like this thread that kind of went viral back in 2015, and to kind of put an end to it or help, Joe said, I know somebody. And so we organized it for 20, and it went psh. And so we had to get a bigger venue, we involved the tile company, and so even the RMLS trade show that Denny, her principal broker, came to, mind blown. 250 agents at that. So you are not alone. Now you see why my passion is to get this out there. In 3 hours it sold out. Rockstar. Testimonials from those that have taken this class. And if you send me a good testimonial of success, I'll put it in this. I should put more in there. I attended your buyer service agreement class back in February. I'm happy to report I've been using them with every single client without fail. Without fail. Thank you so much for last week's class. As a new agent, I did feel like I was a key turner. That changed immediately after your class. I had both buyers that I was working with sign a service agreement. They did so happily. And I feel much more in control. Like children love boundaries. What's that nanny show? It was like so amazing. As soon as the parents gave the children boundaries, they started behaving. Well, that's like our buyers. So we give them boundaries. You can go crazy within the boundaries. Here's another one. If you have never heard Cheryle Clunes teach this class, if you don't use the exclusive buyer service agreement or would like to understand the forms and how to present this to potential buyers, you need this class. Cheryle will teach you the most important aspect of real estate, treating your business like a business. Our friend Joe. So, Oregon, they wanted to make this document mandatory. So I jumped on the task force, since I'm on the boards at the state and local level, and I said, hold the horses. We need to teach it. We need to understand it before you make it mandatory. Here's some states where it's mandatory. Name some.
California.
Maryland. I'm sure there's more. Or if you're working with a buyer, it's mandatory you sign the contract. Let's make it a pattern of practice first in Oregon, and then the state can make it mandatory. Then we'll understand it. So that's been my passion, traveling across the state. Been Pendleton, well, that's a drive. Florence, Coos Bay, that's a drive. All, and all places in between. Kind of forces me to get out of town and put my feet in the sand, so it's a good thing too. So here's the most asked question that I get. That's a good question, right? Is it going to hold up in court? So I need a reader. Who wants to be my reader? And I will blow that up. You won't have to go up and put your spectacles on. Okay, good. Can you read that for me?
Yes. Jerry Seinfeld must pay a realtor fee. In New York, a judge ruled against comedian Jerry Seinfeld in a dispute over a commission on a real estate transaction. Seinfeld is ordered to pay real estate broker Tamara Cohen $98,000 after giving her a sales commission by buying directly from the owner of an Upper West Side townhouse, the New York Post reported Sunday. Seinfeld tried to avoid paying the commission because Cohen, a Jew who observes the Sabbath, was not available when Seinfeld wanted to view the house, the Post said. In accordance with the Jewish law, Cohen's phone was turned off on that particular Saturday when Seinfeld and his wife wanted to view the house. Seinfeld had signed an exclusive buyer service agreement with Cohen. The only real issue here is whether the broker's fee was 5 or 6%. The judge said in the ruling, Cohen could get as much as $118,500 if the fee was found to be 6%.
That's a huge commission. Huge. All that time spent, and guess what? Buyers wanted it when they saw it, and they wanted it now. So yes, it does hold up in court. Who's my next reader? This will have some really hard words in them, like a pellet. Just warning you. Okay, go.
Connecticut, a Connecticut appellate court has considered whether a buyer's representative could collect a commission from a client when the client violated the exclusive representation agreement and bought a property while working with another licensee. After reviewing the types of properties the buyer was interested in, the buyer signed an exclusive buyer's representation agreement and the brokerage that ran from January to June 2011. The buyer's agent devoted several months to this search, and the evidence showed that she had spent hundreds of hours investigating various properties. In May 2011, the buyer told the buyer's representative that he was purchasing a property that he learned about from another brokerage. The brokerage then filed a lawsuit against the buyer seeking to foreclose on the broker's lien, and also alleged breach of contract. The court ruled the buyer had breached the contract and awarded the brokerage the commission amount.
Yeah.
See where my
Hundreds.
Yeah.
hundreds.
That's
So when I work with a buyer for 3 years, I don't even know what my hourly rate is when I finally close a transaction with them. But why is it important to keep a log? Because once you're past the 5th hour, can you even remember?
No.
So keep a log and you'll go, oh my gosh, I'm earning my keep. They think we make the big bucks, right? Well, we also spend the big time. Yes.
I was just gonna ask, like, what kind of a log do you keep?
Just like, it could even be like a lined paper that used to be crooked that Heather made me a pretty straight one. You could keep a log like that. You could send, copy your sky slope address. You know, every property has at sky slope. The property address, I think it is, at sky slope. And so every time you email somebody, copy sky slope in the BCC line. Now, that's doing 2 things. It's making your files complete. So if you're ever audited, because trust me, I've tried, I have to go back and recreate a file because we changed from back agent to sky slope, and it was like in that, and it was a nightmare. So copying your sky slope on every communication it takes 1 click. Start typing your address in, and once you type in the address, it auto-populates. So that's kind of your automatic log. But I do abbreviate into my file, and then I also keep a checklist. So there's kind of 3 things fold. So there's emailing everything, there's writing some, as you're in a phone conversation, what you write down, you don't have to memorize. So we take notes when we write down. I used to have notes of all different size papers everywhere. And then and writing on the back of things. And then I'd lose things. So just create really good professional notepad. And when you're done, write the client's name. When you're done, put it in your file. Scan it to SkySlope. And then on to the next page. These are free. Title companies give them out for free. You know, so the better you are, the better your file will be. Because if you're fighting for what you're worth, and you do end up in court, you want a complete file. Good question.
I just have a question. So when we had the buyer's agreement, we still have to prove that we did the hours? I'm just curious, or prove that we.
If you're in court,
Yeah.
and you bring documentation, that's your get out of jail free card. So the more documentation that you have to support the case that you've been working hundreds of hours, can you imagine this agent must have had a great file. That's a great thing to have.
Right. Okay.
And the state requires that we document everything and that we keep everything. So it's just a good, if you're gonna because if the agent on the other side is the one that did something wrong, all your stuff gets pulled in, which happened to me. So they look at all my file too, even though the one that made the error was on the other side.
When do you start documenting? Do you start documenting if they're just a lead, or?
Do you start documenting notes if they're a lead? Yes. So you're gonna write their name and number.
Right.
There you've started documenting. And then when are you gonna meet with them? When are you gonna show them the first house? When are you gonna get that exclusive buyer service agreement? So you've already started documenting. And if you're good, like Linda's really good at doing things on her laptop, so there's not a lot of paper flowing around. My partner Mark Beerwagon, his brother, Berkshire Hathaway, does everything. Doesn't never print out everything, so he's always So the better you get at that, the better file you'll have. So let's talk about procuring cause. Here's the gentle definition. Somebody read that for me.
The proximate cause, the cause originating a series of events which, without breaking the continuity, results in the accomplishment of the prime object.
So what's the prime object in working with a buyer?
Get them a house.
Get him a house. What'd you say?
The sale.
The sale, yeah. Sale of the house. Oh, I was thinking I had another thought. So the cause originating, without break in continuity, we can have a buyer that gets frustrated because they've just written 10 offers and gotten multiple offer situation. We just want to take a break. That's fine. Let's take a break. Don't stop sending them properties. Don't stop checking in. They can take a break from writing an offer, but don't stop that continuous contact. Understood? Excellent. Or to put it more simply, it's not the squirrel that gathers the nuts, but the one who shakes the tree. That's the Arkansas Supreme Court.
Sounds like a Supreme Court.
Arkansas.
Little back country.
So who's doing the work? The one on the ground, gathering up, taking them to the den? Or the one shaking the tree? Both. So it's the court's job to determine who earned that. Okay, I like to have fun where I can find it. So maybe in 2006, I was kind of feeling my oats. Anybody know what that means? When you feed a horse oats, they get real, yeehaw, and they like to run around the field. So I must have been feeling my oats. 2 families came to me at the same time. The Maestas family, they were relocating from Arizona. And let's just call the other Ray and Peg. Wanting a house close into Portland. I signed one up, an exclusive buyer service agreement, and the other not. Let's see how this plays out. I'm gonna treat them with the same respect. I'm gonna give them my love, my heart, my time.
Can I ask one question? Did they one sign up and one not because they wouldn't sign it or because you didn't? For them?
I was having fun. I was playing with it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't so fun. So appreciate the time to look for these properties for Peg and I. But I must tell you that we signed a contract with Renaissance Homes in Tukwila Development in Woodburn on July 22nd, and it was accepted the following week. Peg and I are both really excited about this opportunity of sharing this home together and calling it our home. Also appreciate the short time that we spent with you and wish you all the best in the future.
You know, at least they.
That's what I was gonna say, at least they wrote you.
Yeah.
It's so
Oh
great.
my gosh.
You're
So on
already
the day we were to go to Woodburn, because I had spent every weekend for 3 to 4 months with them,
That's so awful.
we had seen over 50 homes that were too expensive. We started in Portland and went out and went out and went out and went out. Had I not qualified them, would they have driven to Woodburn and bought the first house they saw? No. What did they want? They wanted something close into Portland.
Right.
I'm not going to start my search in Woodburn. I did all that qualification. I contacted Renaissance Homes, begged for a morsel, and that agent said, that's real estate. Tough how the cookie crumbles. And a short time, yes, it was a short time if I look at my lifespan. But 3 months of heartache and dedication, and it came true. You know, setting that up, it came true.
Did you respond to that?
I'm sure I did. And I'm sure it was very professional. So lost client equals no sale. Now I'm looking back, I wish I could go see how I responded. Okay, now there was the Maestas family. Do you believe the nerve of this lady? She is constantly trying to get us to work with her instead of you. This is my mother's realtor, and although we have duly informed her, listen to this approach. Look at their mindset. We have duly informed her that we are indeed working with another realtor. She continues to contact us with home information. Well, of course she is. Now, if you see a listing, can we go, you should really get out of your contract with X Realty and sign a listing with me. I'll do a much better job. Can we do that?
No.
Why?
Unethical.
That's right. We cannot cross that line. What is that line? It's called a contract.
You can the next day,
After, yes, when it expires. The next day after what?
after
My
it expires.
birthday? Let's define, always define.
So did she send you some communication from the other realtor? Is that what she's just, you know?
And this was
referring
actually
to?
Jacob. And, no, he was just letting me know that his mother has a friend and she's a realtor and that she was kept on him. Now, what are my rights as their exclusive buyer broker? What are they crossing? What is that woman crossing?
Yeah.
It's as bad as if she's going and talking to the sellers of a listed property. Those are listed buyers. So I said, you know, this is illegal. Do you want me to say something to her? And he said, no. It's my mother's friend. We don't want to rock the boat, but we're clearly working with you. But I could have. You need to keep the peace. They weren't going to go anywhere. They clearly understood the contract. Lester?
So in that situation,
Yeah.
did you suggest to them that they actually go so far as to tell them, I have an exclusive buyer's agreement with this broker,
Yes.
rather than just working with, because they might see working with as you've shown her a couple of
Yes.
houses.
It's
Like
still
the first
unethical.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah, I could have said,
so like you said with
Mr.
defining,
Renaissance
yeah.
Homes agent, sorry, but you'll be sending my brokerage my due because you crossed
you
the
had that,
line.
yeah.
Had I had that,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Thanks for writing it up for me.
So Cheryl, what would have happened if the Renaissance person didn't know that they had signed a broker's
That's a
agreement?
very good question.
Then
We
can you
have-
go back at them and
It's
say?
our responsibility in pro standards and ethics to ask the question. So have you signed an exclusive buyer service agreement with any other broker? We need to ask that. Mostly what we get is, no, I've never heard of it.
Mhm. So what if they had never heard of it, but still there was a contract and they bought from him, would they still owe you the commission?
Then, if we're battling, it's back to the procuring cause, and a court's gonna decide. So if you have the perfect file, like we're discussing, and Mr. Boo-Boo shows up with nothing, well, I signed him up the minute I met him, but he has nothing to show, Mr. Boo-Boo's gonna go home and boo-hoo. And because we have the case that we can present. Because you can't just hold a buyer hostage and not make contact and expect RMLS prospecting to do all the work. It's a great form of communication while you're doing yours. Is it connecting everything? Good. These are good questions.
But then out of that whole situation with
Which one?
The Renaissance, let's say you had a contract and the Renaissance agent didn't know and did go to court, would the Renaissance agent have to give up his commission? Or
Yes.
would the buyers
My
have
share
to
of it.
pay, or would the buyers have to pay out of their own pocket because they signed an agreement with you?
That would be up to the court. Because it could be that the buyer have to pay, but then you have another legal issue, he crossed the line,
Who crossed the line?
the Renaissance agent.
But not if they
If-
didn't know. If he didn't know.
That's why we're supposed to ask the
But if he
question.
doesn't ask the question.
Well,
If he
should.
doesn't ask the question, then he's in the wrong.
Oh, I see what you're
It's
saying.
our
He should have asked.
I see what
responsibility.
you're
So
saying.
if he asked the question and the buyer said, I don't think so.
Right, what if the
Yes,
buyer's,
then-
what if the
Then
buyer's
he
not?
would prove that, the
Okay.
Renaissance agent would prove that, and then the buyer would be on the hook.
Okay, gotcha.
It's unethical for us to not ask. We
Good
have to
point, yeah.
ask.
So it's in our professional
good.
ethics and
Yeah.
standards. You
Okay.
ever read that? We actually went over that in the orientation, and that was one of the things that we talked about. It's our duty to ask, and this is a great place to add that in there. So add in NASTUS slide, pro standards, ask. See, it gets better. It always gets better. Okay.
So when I did a builder's agency many years ago,
Mm-hmm.
we got paid such a low commission, it was like you were just getting the portion of the seller's commission that you would normally get from your brokerage anyway, and there wasn't any money left for a seller's agent. If somebody did bring their buyer's agent in to deal with them, basically it was the builder that had to pay that extra money out of whatever they sold the house to make up that difference, because there wasn't
Good.
enough money in marketing. Is that changed? Do you know?
Well, you could, so let me play it back to you so if I heard you correctly. So you're showing new construction
Right,
that isn't an RMLS,
right.
because RMLS is our commitment to each other, isn't it? It's about cooperation. So there's our promise of cooperation, and commitment, and compensation. That's our compensation. So it's like thinking of it like a for sale by owner. If his new construction property is not in RMLS, you get the ticket before you show the property. You get that seller fee agreement signed, and they probably have one. You get that signed between you and the builder, then you bring your buyers. If your buyers have gone through an open house and put the cart in front of the horse, then you kind of have to back up and create it. Right now, builders want our help. And you can probably recreate the cooperation and compensation part of it. I know it's a long, convoluted answer, but does that make sense? Each situation is gonna be different, so.
I like I'm gonna be doing an open house this Saturday, and it's with, a builder, okay? And he has two houses that are not on the RMLS, that are right in the neighborhood that he wants me to promote. So when I have a situation where.
He wants you to promote his,
He wants me to tell the people that come in the house that there are other houses that are not on the RMLS, who will be coming on the RMLS in the future. But if they're interested in buying those, to let him know. So how do I handle a situation where there's.
is the house you're holding open on RMLS? Okay. So, procuring any buyer that you're gonna share future information, like these are things that are, you'll wanna get them signed up. That's your commitment to being compensated. You can't get compensation promise from a builder for something in the future. Does that make sense? So getting the client's commitment is key in your situation.
So I shouldn't tell them about the other houses that are in the
You
process of being
can,
built?
in nondescript. That would be a reason for them to sign up with you, because there are going to be more in the future coming. So I will let you know when that is. So you kind of have something that they want. You can procure their business, the buyer, because you're gonna be working for them, and then you'll share with that as it comes on the market. And then you don't find yourself in a situation where they can run over here and talk to the builder about the future, and then the builder just saved some money. Not that, there's good builders and there's bad builders. But if you're gonna be procuring buyers and they're interested and they like his product, protect yourself first. Okay,
Yeah, so she
And
can help herself by presenting that, like, she can help them a little bit more if they like, hey, I know that some stuff's gonna come
Sure.
up, so sign with me, and
Sure.
I can help you
And I'll-
get some stuff before.
Mhm. If you don't like these,
Yeah.
but you like the product, you like how he builds, I'll let you know when the next are ready.
You
That you can tell them.
have like an inside.
And then you get them signed up. So we're gonna have millions of questions, and trust me, if we get to the end, we're already 1 hour in. We're gonna take a break right now, 5 minutes, so everybody can go to the restroom, get some coffee, get some water, and then we're gonna fly through the next hour. Realize that it starts with you. Everybody realizes that, right? I can wish it for you, I can teach it to you, but who has to start? That's right.
I love it.
Isn't that the cutest?
That's awesome.
That's how I see myself. Rah. When I come out like a pussycat.
I love it.
And somebody just said, okay, so this skirt tells a lot. Who is that on my skirt?
Kermit.
Because I'm so. But I got fun inside of me. So show your fun side, but show them that you know how to get the job done. What first impression do you want to make with a potential client? God, that was really good. What first impression do you want to make with a potential client? When you first meet them, does your appearance portray that you could lead them in a very important transaction? Or are you dressed so casual that it seems you should be doing their yard work? Or a workout partner? Or getting their coffee for them? You know? So make your first appointment one to remember. Be impressive. You're not going to show up if you're going to go walk horse property in stilettos. Hopefully never show up in stilettos. But you know my
It's a
point.
different impression entirely.
Yeah, that's right. What are you selling? What are you selling? So make your first appointment one to remember. Do I wear great professional shoes? Yes. Do I have my slogan boots in my car? Yes, along with my hammer and trunk monkey, sledgehammer, my flashlight, and my clipper things, and we have a roll of, yeah, that too.
Toilet paper.
Yeah, toilet paper, exactly, my roll of. Now you're prepared. So be impressive. So this is so great. I found this. So first impressions. Oh, you're the best. Thank you. So this is very cool. So psychology, I'm all about psychology. That's why I get addicted to Survivor and Big Brother, because they're just psychology experiments. And that's what I studied in college. So
Me
psychology,
too.
what's that?
Me too.
Yeah, so interesting. Psychology studies reveal that first impressions are formed in 7 to 17 seconds. They're formed, all of you, 7 seconds you were forming your opinion of me. Is she qualified to teach this? What am I going to learn from this? 38% of a person's first impression is determined by their tone of voice. We're going to have fun today. You're going to love this class. Hope we get out on time. No, you're going to love this class. You're going to learn lots. You're going to go away better brokers. 7% of what we think of others is based on what they say. Bleepity bleep bleep bleepity bleep. Neighbor. So, potty mouth, potty thoughts. Addressing potential customers by their name, Lester,
Yes.
increases the likelihood that they will respond by 36%, Katrina.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Lisa, did you like that? I love it, Cheryl. So remember, their name is key. Key. People like to hear their names. Where do we get that from? 35 business studies analyzed by the International Listening Center indicated that listening is what? A top skill needed for success in business. Are we in business?
Yes.
Are we going to help make huge financial decisions?
Yes.
Unfortunately, most people only retain 50% of what they hear, husband. So I keep it brief, contained, and important. I don't waste words, because if they're gonna only retain 50%, then the 50% you want them to hear, make it important. You can blah 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 throughout the house, right? Because they're blah 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 and they're loving everything, and you're jumping on their bandwagon, and whatever they say goes inside the house. Because we're not looking for us. We're there to protect them. We'll go in more of that. 55% of a person's opinion of others is determined by physical appearance. So somebody's going to, if I showed up in my sweats today, you probably would have wondered what I did last night, number one, and why I didn't take time to present myself very well. So that's why your presentation of yourself when you meet people is so important. During face-to-face meetings, 93% of people's judgments of others are based on non-verbal body language. That's not very presentable. If you're slouching, if you're like this, pretend this is a phone. I'll be right with you. I know, could you believe her last night? I couldn't even believe it. Yeah, oh, I'm just showing property. I'll be right with you. What is that?
Seen it too.
Who's important here? I'm very important. If this rings, I have to answer it.
So disrespectful.
Yeah, so respect the people that you're with. Their time is your money. You need to earn it. And it starts with respect. You know we have 5 more to see today. No, it takes time. You can go back if you need to. Always be on time for the initial meeting, for any meeting. People are busy. One of the worst offenses you can commit is not respecting their time. I sat in my car for 30 minutes every time I was going to meet this one set of buyers. At least 30 minutes. That is so disrespectful, but I allowed it. I told them I only have 30 minutes. I'll see you there at 1. And I left at 1:30. Did they see the house? No. Were they ever late again? No. The best time to establish leadership, leadership is right from the beginning of your client relationship. A client meeting builds value and will help to create their trust in you as a professional. It's easy to fall into the habit of showing property at the first client meeting. By doing so, you put the client in a leadership position over you. Who's the boss here? They're the boss, but who's the leader? It's their money, it's their decision, but who's the professional? You have a unique opportunity to build a better client relationship and therefore a better experience for everyone involved if you take a different approach and choose to be the leader. Find out, this is my favorite, it's better to find out in the first 30 minutes rather than 3 days, 3 months, or yes, I spent 3 years with a set of buyers, still my clients today. We're on our 5th transaction, that the buyers will not be loyal to you. Great, sorry it couldn't work out. Good luck. How much time do we spend at a listing appointment? Do you spend 15 minutes at a listing appointment? Who's had a listing appointment? Well, you definitely don't spend 15 minutes at a listing appointment. Could you spend 15 minutes showing a property?
Yes.
You spend 30 minutes listing a property?
No.
30 minutes showing a property?
Yes.
They're liking it. An hour? More than an hour listing a property?
Yes.
Yeah. Time is money. We need to take time with our buyers before we start being their key turner. With each meeting with the buyer, listen, listen, and listen. If this is moving, these aren't working. And who's important? Who's the decision maker? That's right.
The wife.
The wife or the dad.
That's one of the things you're listening for.
That's right. Yeah, you're listening for those clues. Okay, here's my pearls of wisdom. This is what I say to buyers in certain situations. Before we conclude today, you will decide if I can be of service to you, and I will decide if I can help you accomplish your goal. Because if you ain't signing this, I can't help you. But I don't say that. My presentation will sell them on my professionalism and service. If I don't have anything to offer, I shouldn't be asking for a commitment. And they're going to decide. They're going to make the decision. So I'm planting the seed that they're going to make a decision. Well, we just want to work with 10 realtors, and whoever finds us the property will get to write it up. Great. There's 17,000 of us in Oregon. Good luck. But I commit my time to those who commit themselves to me. Why would somebody want to hire you exclusively? They're in a one bedroom and they're
Upsizing, downsizing.
downsizing, upsizing, downsizing.
Starting life, getting married.
Yeah, merging. Maybe now they have a rental or one to sell and they're getting a divorce. Yes, that happens too,
Retiring.
unfortunately for us.
Retiring.
Why? What else?
Retiring.
Oh, yeah, retiring.
Want to travel.
Move to the area.
Job
Yep.
relocation.
Job relocation, lots. So why would knowing their motivation be important?
Lifestyle. They're gonna fit.
How fast they want buy.
Yeah, a lot of
See how it gets your brain going, and like these leading questions are going to better serve you to be their realtor. And is anyone else involved in the decision-making process? Yes, I have been sent to look at every house, and when I find the top 3, I will bring Mr. Man. So that's what we did. And we searched, and we searched, and we searched, and we probably saw 50 homes, and it was a glut inventory, not a low inventory like we have now. And she picked her top 3, and we got a tour together, and we took her husband, and he said, no, keep looking.
No.
Because why?
Because you've only seen 3
That's right. He was unqualified to make a decision. In his mind, those were not the best of the lot. That's why it's important to have the decision maker with you in seeing all properties.
And they
And,
have to be a signer on that exclusive.
and they also,
agency as well.
yeah, he might be the only one that has financing, and she may, you know, be the, not having an outside the home paying position. Because if you're a mom at home, that's a job and a half.
Okay.
So,
Especially if I want a decision makers out of state.
that's right, that's right.
Got a couple
You
that are
better
going
Skype
on.
them in.
Yeah.
And I did that. The decision makers were out of state, and their children, son, daughter, and her husband were the ones touring the properties. So I said, let's Skype them. Let's FaceTime them in here so that they could at least be with us through the process. And 16, if you find a home that meets your criteria, are you ready to proceed? Are you ready to write an offer today? Oh my gosh, we never thought of that. Well, if we find one, are you ready? If not, let's talk about it. And sometimes when people are new in the process, what has to happen?
You need to pre-qual,
They need to pre-qual.
you know, what the budget is even.
They might see the perfect house and not know because they haven't seen enough. Kind of like on the same hand as the husband not seeing all 50 homes because they haven't had enough to compare it to. Or maybe they've been searching online and going to open houses for months. And when is the best time to look at property or jammy drive-bys at 5 o'clock? Or Saturday. People can take time off sometimes to get out and see some property. And how much time do you have today? Because if they don't have enough time for me to do my presentation and then go see property, then we're going to schedule the tour of property after we do this important meeting. And do you have a computer? Did Carol have a computer? Connie?
No, she doesn't even know what DigiSign is or, yeah.
So, you know, we can do things the old school way. And you have an email address. So the rest of page 2, it's up there, you can use it. Okay, so it's not about your next paycheck. Repeat after me, same thing. It's not about your next paycheck. It's about educating our clients so that they can make informed decisions. Your goal is my goal. Sold, sold, sold. Learn what the expectations are of the buyer, then exceed them. If they want you to contact them by email once a week, then do too. Call them and email them. Exceed their expectations. There's also 10 pages you could give them to fill out, and if there's 2 people that are making the decision, you can give them, and you can abbreviate it to 1 page. It's like who, what does she want, and what does he want? What does he want, and what does he want? What does she want, what does she want? There's 2 people making a decision. Trust me, they're not, tell them don't copy. Do not peek at the others. If you could have it all, what do you want and what do you want? And then all look, and then let's find it all. What are we adding?
Value.
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 There you go. Now we're going to help the buyer determine their market area because that's in the exclusive buyer service agreement. And we looked at the map. Here's some pearls of wisdom. Buyers will drive themselves around to